Hey everybody, welcome to Football Night New York living room edition, or for me today, it's guest bedroom edition, as a matter of fact. Jonas Schwartz alongside Eamon McAnaney, Ralph Vacchiano. So much to talk about as we are now in the midst of draft week. Jets and Giants getting ready to go for Thursday night. And right off the bat, all sorts of talk. Jamal Adams and just the pressure he is putting on the Jets. Joe Douglas with a conference call on Monday to discuss this. Ralph, do you think Jamal Adams is a Jet by the end of the week?
Yeah, I do. I think he'll be a Jet by the end of the week. I think he'll be a Jet by the end of the offseason. I think the intention truly is to make him a Jet for life, as Joe Douglas has said. And we spoke to him on a conference call with the media on Monday, and he reiterated that. Now, listen, he said he will listen to offers if people call. It's part of what his job is. He needs to see if anybody's going to make the kind of crazy offer that you can't refuse. And that might not sit well with Jamal Adams, but he did again say that his intention is to sign into a long-term deal, and he intends to start talking to him about that soon after the draft. So all signs point in the direction of the Jets not wanting Adams to go anywhere.
Now let's flip over to the Giants, and apparently the Giants are indeed investigating a quarterback with that number 4 overall pick. No, I can't bang the Tua drum here, Jonas, but apparently Justin Herbert. Ralph, what's the latest on the Giants actually kicking the tires on the Oregon product?
Yeah, it's a nice little headline, but there's not a lot of juice to this story. It's part of their due diligence. They look into all the prospects out there. And, Joe Judge comes from the New England Patriots. This is an old Patriot trick to talk to the top quarterbacks, build the scouting report file on them, get some information. So you never know when it'll be useful. You either play against him, maybe he's a free agent in a few years. The other thing that's at work here is the Giants have made it pretty clear that they want to trade down from the number 4 pick. And from what I understand, there's not really that much of a market. So maybe if they can leak out that they're interested in Herbert, maybe somebody bites on that and says, oh, we really need to trade up to get that pick instead of letting the Giants have him. But, I don't know that that's going to work because I don't know who's buying that.
Let me tell you, I now understand why Dave Gettleman has never traded down before. This is the worst smokescreen that anybody's ever seen. There's no smoke. There's not even a flicker of anything here. It's not believable. I understand what he's trying to do, Ralph. You're exactly right. It's a smart move to try and trade down to get more draft picks, or they could probably still get an offensive tackle that they like who's similar in value to what they would get at 4. They can move down to 6 or 7 or something like that. But it just doesn't make any sense. Nobody is going to buy that they want Justin Herbert instead of Daniel Jones, who I think we all agree, if there's one thing we could say that Dave Gettleman got right, it was Daniel Jones. They're not about to turn their back on that for Justin Herbert, of all people.
One thing Dave Gettleman has not gotten right is the offensive line. Jets certainly need offensive line help as well. And one guy who knows a thing or two about quality offensive line play is former Jets center Nick Mangold. And recently, Arjun Coakley caught up with Mangold to discuss his memories of draft day.
When you got that phone call, do you remember what was going through your mind?
It was crazy, just thinking, because you go through and you meet so many people as you go through the combine and you go through Senior Bowl, and there's so many different teams. I did not take any pre-draft visits, so I didn't think I was getting drafted anyway. So you just kind of, it's all a blur. You're like, all right, who am I talking to? I'm talking to the Jets. All right, who's at the Jets? And then it was like, oh, I'm talking to Mike Tannenbaum. And it was just kind of, it was a whirlwind. And it wasn't until I think later that night, he was like, oh, I'm going to New York. And it really didn't sink in.
And you always tell a funny story. DeBrickashaw in a 3-piece suit, you in your flip-flops.
Yeah, so we were at the combine. And trying to, you're going around, you have workouts to do, you have interviews, they're poking and prodding you in medical. And we get to the interview section in the evening, and they were still using like the train cars and all those rooms and everything. And I turned the corner and there's Brick, and he didn't work out at the combine, I don't believe. And he's in a crisp 3-piece suit. And I look at him, I was like, Brick, wait, what are you doing? Like, why are you so dressed up? He goes, it's a job interview. Why are you in jeans and flip-flops and a polo shirt? I was like, I don't know, because I just got done working out and I'm tired.
That's Brickashaw, and that is Nick.
That's us.
Now, will you watch the draft, and how do you think this year will play off? Like you said, it's been so crazy with this pandemic and lockdown. Like, do you see this How's this happening?
I don't know. It's gonna be weird. You know, I think Roger's gonna love it because he can't get booed. You know, I think that's a big key. But I think the idea that you have all these teams drafting people who, you know, like I said earlier, who they don't really know. They haven't. I mean, they cut off the visits pretty early in that period of time, and you know, you just don't know if you can't get a guy in and see how he is, you know, interacting with the medical staff. You know, because the combine, you get reports. Not everybody can see everybody, and you know, so you're getting shared reports. But when you finally get someone in your facility, or you can go to their pro day and see them in kind of like their natural environment, see how they are. You know, I think it's something that is going to be wild because you're really taking a wild stab at it.
You've been pretty busy in retirement. Talk about your that barbecue that you were going to send over so I can test some.
It was something I wanted to do to be able to share, because barbecue is all about, you know, people getting together, having a good time, you know, sharing stories, sharing food, and you know, makes everyone happy. And the other side of it too is the charitable component. We're connected with Answer the Call, which does fantastic work for our first line responders who die on the call of duty, and helps their families out. So this way, a portion of the proceeds of each bottle sold goes to them. And it's a way that I've been working with Answer the Call for 5 or 6 years now. And it's a way for me to keep a steady stream of not only awareness, but a little bit of money going to them as well.
The barbecue sauce, both of them.
Yeah, we got both of them here. We got to reach through there.
Your favorite?
Put them up here. I go back and forth. I would have to say I love them both equally because they represent, you know, my children.
Oh, solid point. Solid point. I have a favorite child, but that's beside the point.
All right, good stuff from Nick and Janae. They got into a lot. Barbecue sauce favoring kids. But let's talk the football end of it, which is Mangold brings up the point that with teams being unable to bring prospects into their own building, they sort of have to, you know, take a little leap of faith here with who they draft. And when you think of a guy like Mekhi Becton, Ralph, who the Jets and the Giants are both interested in, he's flagged on a drug test issue. So how should that affect everything here with Becton and just the Jets and the Giants drafts in general?
Yeah, overall, I think it's a fairly significant issue. You know, scouts and general managers will always say they like the hands-on approach. They want to look that guy in the eye to get a feel for him. So already they're a little skittish about this draft because they didn't get to do that with a lot of guys with all the pro days canceled. Now a guy like Mekhi Becton, the issue pops up late. If they can't get to him to speak to him in person, which they obviously can, if they can't get enough information over a FaceTime call, they might push him down on their board or push him off their board entirely. Scouts and GMs right now are leaning more on what they know, guys they've already spoken to and seen, and guys who come from programs where they have a relationship with. We talked about this a lot with Joe Judge and Alabama. He's close to the people down there, work down there. You know, that's someone he can trust and rely on. I think you'll see that in this draft more than we've ever seen it before.
I mean, let's be honest. There'd be a red flag with Becton this week, whether they could meet with him or not. We've all seen that draft day drama in the past with Tunsil, Warren, Sapp. You get a red flag, teams are going to be reluctant to draft you, no matter how many times they can meet you. I think, look, all teams are in the same boat here. I understand that they've gotten used to being able to meet these players and really get to know them. But Ralph hit it on the head. You're really going to rely on who you trust. What college football coach do you trust? What scout do you trust? That's who you're going to rely on. The contacts you have developed in your tenure as a scout, as a GM, is going to be that much more important this draft than ever before, Jonas.
You know, I also wonder when it comes to Becton, how much this particular issue is still a big issue. I actually think the thoughts of his weight perhaps wavering will bother teams more than this issue in this day and age. Who knows? The one thing we do know is that people brought D. Milner into buildings, took a look at him, met him. How'd that work out?
Let it go.
One way, I can't let it go. They make mistakes whether they get him in the building or not. That's how inexact this science is. Good stuff, guys. We are here all week long taking you through the draft, the aftermath, Football Night New York. We will see you tomorrow.